We just mutated on a Naki James. Tiger blood, Charlie Sheen. Leadership level like a college dean. Addicted to the truth like crack is to a fiend. The elites killed the American dream. Along with Epstein, let's rage against the machine. Momentum picking up and I'm hardly burning steam. Positivity never makes it mainstream. The country is torn like some Levi James. Cutting the lawn, but I'm barely making greens. Give it to you straight like a laser beam. This fucking reality is not what it seems.
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive. They're meant to be worker ants.
So yes, if you work out strictly for appearance-based reasons, you are fat phobic.
But nobody cares about when you do that, if there's like muscles there. Nobody cares about that. We don't want to see that. That's not what we want to see. So
Know what you expected me to do?
You guys are watching the Off Topic Show right now on YouTube, Compound Censored, and all social media. We got my sidekick Mookie here. Make sure you guys use promo code Off Topic to save 20% off your monthly and yearly subscriptions. When you guys subscribe to the Off Topic Show over on Compound Censored using promo code Off Topic, so many awesome shows on the network. Make sure you use promo code Off Topic. Now let's get right into our segment today. We have John Graham. And let me tell you a little bit about Grounded Tactical before we bring him on. It's described as being designed in beautiful Oregon, USA, and is associated with combat Army veterans, NRA recruitment, and Second Amendment support. The website mentions KWA Firearms Training, suggesting a focus on firearms training and tactical operations. The brand emphasizes a professional and tactical approach, catering to individuals' interest in military, law enforcement, and self-defense training. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest right now, and let me unmute him. How are you doing, John? Can you hear me?
Yeah, bud. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. Thank you for coming on to the Off Topic Show. And, this is, welcome to my little digital world. Thank you. I've been following you on Instagram, and you're a very interesting person. And, some people might be wondering, Oregon, just like California and some of these beautiful Pacific, a lot of Oregon's beautiful. California's beautiful. If you look at the redwoods, if you go out, but it gets a bad rap due to like the political stuff. So you like to fill us in on just how beautiful Oregon is if you just get away from the liberal kind of infested wokeism, how beautiful that state is. Oregon.
I will tell you from a standpoint, I used to be a park ranger here assigned in Oregon, a state park ranger. I'm full disclosure, bro. I'm from California. Southern California when I first came to the United States, and my mom brought me up here to Grants Pass. Fucking, can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I fucking fell in love with it, dude. I lived in Josephine County. It's phenomenal. Did my time in the Army, got out, came back to Oregon, applied to be a state park ranger. The best time ever. It's just living in the Willamette Valley, you have access to the ocean within an hour. You have access to the coast, and then the hills and the desert within hours reach. Amazing. This state has its beauty. Don't get me wrong, it does. I was a park ranger over at the state capitol and also in Southern Oregon, so I was able to see the desolate, remote areas of Oregon, and it was truly a humbling experience. I truly missed that job. I would love to go back if it wasn't for like political climate. But aside from that, I couldn't imagine living any other place like Oregon, maybe Virginia. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful here.
Now, when you say park ranger, Donald Trump went to Paradise, California back in 2016. There was a fire that happened. That's where I'm from, NorCal. And one of the things people made fun of was like he was talking about raking the brush and stuff, and you're a park ranger. How much of that is actually true? I mean, if they cleared up a lot of that fallen debris, would that prevent these fires, you think, or they're going to happen regardless because they have space lasers? No, but seriously, I mean, is that a real thing? You know, people laugh that off, but as we find out in California and other places of the Pacific Northwest, could they go in and clean up this brush and would it make a difference? I mean,
yeah, sagebrush. Yeah, they can. Here's an interesting factoid that I didn't learn. So I used to do wildland firefighting here in Oregon. And here's an interesting thing that I didn't know. The root system continuously stays burning underground for months. So if you had a fire that happened in like May and you put it out, even though you covered it, the amount of oxygen, the rate of fire or the rate of spread is going to be extremely low until the summer season the next year. And then next thing you know, that root system that's been burning for like 8 months or whatever, it pops up again. So yeah, here in Oregon, we call it hazards mitigation. We call it thinning. So yeah, raking and whatnot makes a huge, we call it fuels reduction as well. But it does make a drastic difference.
The way you're explaining this is almost like you had a campfire and the coals are just kind of smoldering and it's still kind of going. Like when you say root fire is.
So what I mean by that is, so if you're looking at a stereotypical tree trunk, when a tree burns, the outer shell stays intact, but the inside stays burning. So what may look like ground, it's actually just ash. So if you step on it, your feet will go through 3 feet, 2 feet, whatever. But that root system, depending how big. So if you look at a stereotypical tree, it's almost like an upside down cake. The root system is wider than the leaves itself. So it just keeps burning. And I even have a video from like 10, 12, 15 years ago that I've never posted it. I should probably post that to show people like how the fire just slow rate burns throughout the summer or throughout the winter months. And then when it's got hot enough and it gets its, oxygen, and then it pops up. It's weird. The weirdest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. And it's very permanent here in Eastern Oregon because we got a lot of sagebrush, a lot of undercover tree canopy that the fire stays pretty well protected and it stays burning underground.
Yeah, it's so sad seeing all the whenever I see a wildfire anywhere in the world and you're seeing it on TV, it's just like, damn. And then were you ever actually in a fire? Like you had to put one out, like a big fire? Did you ever have to find yourself?
Oh my God.
In the fire?
Yeah. So when you work wildland, I work contract and I work government. So you work 14 days on and then 2 days on R&R. So when you're working 14 days on, you're usually putting in 15, 16-hour days. So yeah, I started out as a hand crew. And what a hand crew means, you come in a van, usually full of Latinos, 15, 16 of us, and we go out into the hills, and we create a line, and we start digging. And basically what you're doing is removing the fuel from spreading. You're digging down with a Pulaski or some sort of a primitive tool, and you'd expose the dirt. And when you expose the dirt, you're creating distance from where the fire is coming from and where you're preventing the fire to go. And we call that digging a hand line. So you're creating basically a choke point where if the fire does continue to go, it has nowhere to go other than up. And that's a whole different story because then that requires ambers and aerial resources and whatnot. But yeah, I've done that. And then and when I say the last 2 years, that means like 8 years ago. The last 2 years I was in a engine. So my task changed from being a hand crew to engine, and it meant structural protection. But wildland is a whole weird different beast because my younger years, I did structural protection, which is the conventional, fire engine. You put on your SCBA, your gas mask and all that jazz, and you go in. In the woods, you don't have that. You don't have a rapid intervention team that comes in and helps you in case you fucking fall out. You're on your own. There's no SCBA. You have a fucking bandana that's hopefully wet to protect you from the fumes. And God knows if there's a fucking homeless camp, because there might be fucking unused propane bottles that might just go.
Yeah, I've seen videos out in Oregon that people have showed of just of where homeless people have been. I mean, specifically Oregon, where they go round up the trash and they come across things that you never thought they would even bring out into the woods, that just debris. And I know you're in Southern Oregon and I know cannabis has been legal, but do you still have to worry about, I know in Northern California they still do, but coming across illicit grows or even cartel grows, because that's what those are. And that's a whole other thing people don't worry about. You're there putting out a fire. Now you're coming across somebody's illegal grow. Now you got a gunpoint. I mean, this is real shit that people don't even think about.
I will tell you this, and it hasn't been made public until now, and probably because I have a little tipsy. So when I was a park ranger in Southern Oregon, this is as recent as 3 years ago, I was assigned to Valley of the Rogue Management Unit in Southern Oregon in Josephine County. And yes, there are illegal grows, even on state property, that park management refuses to acknowledge. Whether they've done so when I left, I don't know, but I have drone footage of these grows happening on our state property, that they kind of just look the other way. And it's, you know, bro, it's no secret. Southern Oregon is kind of like little mini Humboldt County.
Yep.
Just last year, we still had people, slave workers, working at these camps, whether it's by a cartel or a private enterprise, unrelated. But I know that the AFTF, Oregon State Police, was involved, and they've cracked down tons of this shit. And from a firefighter standpoint, I live in Willamette Valley. And so I used to be, let me backtrack and tell you the whole story. I moved to Southern Oregon and I couldn't find a place to stay because I took this park ranger job. So I applied to be a firefighter at Wolf Creek Fire District. So that way
I've been there. Wolf Creek is like, not saying ghetto, but it's like the ghetto of the woods. Ghetto.
Thank you. Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So
my friend grows there legally, but he has to deal with just the craziest shit. So go and he's from California too. It looks like a lot of Californians find themselves in that area. But go on. Yeah, Wolf Creek. I know what you're talking about.
Wolf Creek is like the weirdest fucking town I have ever seen. There's one gas station, there's the Wolf Creek Inn, and then there's the convenience store, and then there's the fire station. And I can recall going to places where EMS is needed. And by the way, you're by yourself. You have to wait either from Grants Pass, somebody from Grants Pass to show up, or North County, who is a private enterprise firefighting company, or Rural Metro, which is also privatized, for-profit, private security company. And I can recall going to these places where you just see a bathtub and then a light and then I wouldn't say miles, but thousands of feet of power cable, because these fucking people would just steal power and it would just be living on a trailer. And you'd be like, what the fuck? There is this one instance, and I can tell you who I was with my partner. We were chased by the locals because they thought we were harming their family member, and all we were trying to do is trying to send them over to EMS to meet with the ambulance company, because we're volunteer firefighters. We're barely EMT basic. We're just first responders, and we were just trying to do a transfer point. But Wolf Creek, dude, such a weird. That's where people go to hide out.
The hills have eyes of Oregon.
Yes. Yeah. I can't tell people, whenever I say, look, if you're going I-5 southbound on the canyon, bypass Wolf Creek, go like North End Grants Pass. If you can save it, just go North End. Wolf Creek is so fucking weird. It's so weird. Here's an example. Last point. The fire station is no longer around. It got burned to the ground. So there's no fire service in Wolf Creek right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how serious it is. There is a video footage of, you can find me on KWA News 5, where I was in my fucking underwear. Somebody started a grass fire because there was a homeless house, and you see me in a tender driving around, opening the rear hatch and trying to spread water in my underwear, trying to fight this fire because I was a resident firefighter. And
dedication.
What's that?
Dedication.
It was dedication. Yeah, I also didn't want to be homeless either, so that kind of was a great motivator for me.
Well, it's crazy when you say, like, I wasn't down in LA. I'm from NorCal, but I was living in LA for 8 years, and homeless in LA is one thing in the city, and there's fires, but being homeless, especially in places like Oregon with all that natural, and if it goes up on flames, now it's one thing you're setting a fire on the sidewalk, and yes, it might get a couple of buildings, and that sucks. But when you're like out in places like that, you can set up a whole fire that sets out acres, and now we're in a whole heap of trouble. So I mean, it's one thing being homeless in the city, one thing being homeless out in like the woods and shit. I think it's
what I noticed is that the acceptance and popularity of homelessness, or the unhoused as they like to call it here, I call it fucking bums. I call it fucking bums. That's just the way it is. It is, and if you notice it, it is specifically a West Coast issue. Yep. Washington, California, and Oregon.
Yep.
I have the privilege to travel all over the country doing firearms training, and I've gone to DC, Maryland, Florida, Kentucky, Texas. They have their bums, but they're not on center stage so much to the point that it defines how the city functions, that it defines how the city runs. Where right now, I work in Portland, Oregon, we are considered an outdoor mental hospital with no doctors. And it's specifically this stupid fucking mindset that we have, that in the UK, if somebody's fucking batshit crazy and they're creating a nuisance, they call it sanction. You can sanction them to the hospital, figure out what the fuck's wrong with them, give them meds, and then give them a care plan and let them out of their way. Here, the mindset is, oh, they're our neighbors. They're probably having a bad day. We want to leave them be. That's the mindset.
And leaving it be, as we see like down in Palisades and stuff, these politicians, and as I was exposed in the homeless industrial complex in Los Angeles, where they get millions of billions to fix an issue, but they don't want to fix it. It's all part of it, right? They let the homeless get out of whack. They let the vegetation get out of whack. And then what you have, a guy all spun out, he lights his place on fire, and then it's the perfect storm. It's like they deliberately let it get out of hand. So when people such as yourself say, well, this is loony, you can't just, this person needs to get off the street, or they look at you like you're the crazy one. Which, by the way, can we go into a little bit of what you do? I mean, I know we've been jumping around, but you're in the military. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because it looks like that's played a role into working, doing what you're doing now, and how you're working for the wildlife, for the national forest. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So I was active duty. I was active duty Army when I got out of high school, and that was my first true sense of like what the U.S.A., coming from a foreign country. I didn't learn English until I was 12 when I moved to Southern California, and I started learning English. And then my mom sent me over to Oregon. Being in the military was like the first true sense of like what the U.S. were about. And it helped me define who I am, as opposed to thinking outside of myself and thinking more for others. So my entire life has been committed or dedicated to public service. I left the Army, did my 6 years, and then now I do private security, and I run my own private security company, and I do subcontract for others as well. And it has helped me be more of I wouldn't say an empathetic person, but more of like, let me offer my services. Let me help you do this. Let me help you do that. Yeah, I did it in the government sector, but it helped me define more and appreciate this country, what it has to offer. Because I've traveled to a lot of places, and I've seen other cultures and rituals, and we have it extremely lucky here in the U.S.
And you said you're an immigrant, so your mom came from which
Honduras.
land?
I'm from Honduras. Like literally, my passport says from Honduras. English is my second language.
Wow. So at 12, your mom came here. Now, with everything, sensitive topics about, like, my wife, she's Italian, she's Sicilian. She came, did it the right way, took 10 years, but she became a citizen. As soon as she did, we bounced out and came here because I was doxxed, and trans people in LA came after me and my family. Anyway, we'll talk about some other time, but I'm just saying, we're here now. I'm out here in Italy. But with you, did your mom come like the right way, or, did she come the not right way?
My mom came the right way. So did my uncle. So the way it panned out is I stayed in Honduras. My grandmother took care of me. My mom came to the U.S. and she would send in money back to to Honduras, to take care of me, clothing and whatnot, while she stayed up here and build a name for herself. I can't really say much because she works in the government, but I will say she started out working at Del Taco. Oh, I'm sorry, El Pollo Loco, and worked her way now to state government. That she's now like, pretty.
So she worked at a fast food place. She came to America legally, worked at a fast food place, and worked her ass off. And then she was able to get you here legally. Now she works in the government. You work for the military. You appreciate even maybe a little bit more than what some people take for granted, because you were able to go out and see the true value of being an American, being here and looking out for others, and not just me, like a lot of people kind of act in CCC. So, wow. Okay. That is an American, that's a story. And especially right now, when we're talking about illegal aliens or even coming legally, some people are saying they want to stop it completely. So let's just kind of roll with that a little bit. What's it like, being in the military, being, like you said, English was your second language, and now having this appreciation for America, and now you put your life on the line and you go out and it's putting out a fire, protecting a company. These all values in the military helped. Like you said, I listen to Manly P. Hall lectures. He talks about there's nothing better than a service, giving a service, being there for your community,
It's amazing.
So how does that feel? What's that like?
It's incredible. So my service in the military finished in 2006, 2007, and I continue it. But what it helped me was, it helped me define who I was, and it helped me create a standardized of morals in what I think is right and wrong. I'm not putting religion in the mix, but as adults, we all know what the fuck right is and what's wrong. And it helped me create an amazing work ethic that wherever I go, you always have to put yourself last. And that's normally what I do. I put myself last, and it's always for the greater good. And it translates over into public service. It translates over into, private security. That it's just a phenomenal feeling that I wish people would be able to take advantage and go, just be humble and give yourself to the country that you belong, and just serve. But that's a hard thing to ask for people, because military folk are kind of seen as like baby killers and shit. And I'm like,
well, right now in this political climate, people can, this is what I say. I appreciate all the men and women that served. My grandpa served in the World War II, the Lost War, Korean War. Got a Purple Heart. He was a tank commander. And even though I don't go to war, it's up for people such as myself to respect what my grandfather did, go after what my dream is, make that freaking happen. And to know that people before and people serving today allow people such as myself to be able, even out here, be able to do what I love. And so you doing that, it's just, it's you got to have balls, dude. A lot of people talk all day about what they would have done in a situation, coulda, woulda, shoulda. And it's all, it's actions speak louder than words. So is that what made you want to make your own? I have it right here. Security. It's I'm pulling up your website. I want to.
Yeah. So the reason I decided to do my own private security company, it's because there is a specific, I don't want to say mantra, but there's a specific image of the private security industry that I don't like, or a specific rhetoric that I don't like. I like to be able to create my own rules. I don't answer to taxpayers. I answer to shareholders or the client. In this case, I answer to myself, which is pretty great. By the way, go America. And I'm able to create my own rules and policy. Granted, I am governed by the state of Oregon Department of Public Safety and Standards to work within this specific confine. As long as I have justification to do something, and as long as it's documented and it's for the benefit of the people of Oregon, I can go ahead and execute it, no problem. That being said, and I actually just went on a rant not that long ago with a guy on a podcast about how private security is underutilized, even though in the public sector, we are military contractors. We're Department of Homeland Security, Federal Protective Service contractors when it comes to school violence using school resource officers. But in my light, it like I said, it's just an incredible feeling being able to give yourself think outside of yourself and offer your services for the greater good, for an individual, an organization, or whoever it may be, just to be of service.
Now
And
you're. Oh, sorry.
No,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
You were talking about schools, and as we found out, what is it, Uvalde? I think Uvalde, Texas, or I think it was one of these schools where the police took forever to go in. They didn't even do anything. They just stayed back, and all this disaster happened. Do you think that maybe arming teachers and or having service, maybe even provided by, contracted out by companies such as yourself to train teachers or to be on campus could this stuff be stopped or happen less if there's people like you on there? I mean, let's talk about this because people want to debate it. So we don't need to give teachers a damn gun. But if the cops aren't going to go in there and do their damn job, and as we keep seeing budgets and the cops want to play with the politicians and use us in the middle, where only the wealthy get the protection if they can. I'm just saying there has to be something for these public schools and kids.
I will tell you.
What do you think, and how do you feel when you hear about these stuff on the store on Minnesota and these disasters? Tell me how that makes you feel first. And
I will tell you directly. I've dealt with an organization traveling around doing firearms training and selling firearms to law enforcement and military. They have out of Missouri. It's called Strategos International, an amazing faith-centered organization that provides school resource officers to school districts, universities, whatever. And what I enjoy about these guys and what I like is that the officers are fully trained, fully equipped, taser, baton, firearms training in case of me, and they got ballistics vest. They don't have any other commitments. So if you take a municipality, let's say city of whatever, U.S.A., they have a school resource officer who is assigned to that school. They have to answer to a watch commander, which whatever the agenda is for the day, that's what it is. But school resource officers in the private security section, they work for the school district. So they have the school district's, not agenda, but they have their best intentions for the school district. And I have seen school resource officers from Strategos that they're not there to hem up kids. They're there to find out. They're there to interview. They're there to build a rapport to find out what's going on. Then the resource officer, the private security resource officer, is used kind of like a triage if it needs to be sent over to law enforcement or not for further investigation. Not everything requires law enforcement intervention. Our cops need to be out on the street doing what they need to do. Private security detects and deters crime. They solve it and they investigate it. So I believe, no, we shouldn't be arming teachers. They have an important job to educate our future. We don't need to teach them strategies and tactics. We don't need to teach them, how to remove a magazine, how to reload, when to use. No, we have trained individuals, professional individuals that are trained and equipped for such scenarios. They're able to react. That's what they do. Teacher, we need you to teach. Be the best teacher you can ever be.
I like that. Oh yeah, go on.
Then there's kind of arguments to say people, we need to arm teachers because they're there the first time. School shootings has breadcrumbs that you're able to pick and see where things go wrong, where it wasn't recognized. It is up to the educator to be in tune with the students and say, hey man, little Jimmy back there has been stupid quiet and is wearing all black like he's fucking in the Matrix. You may want to send an SR to talk to this kid, see what the fuck is wrong with him, as opposed to everything is fucking hunky-dory and rainbow and sunshines. The next thing you know, you're eating a fucking bullet because Jimmy got bullied when he was fucking 12 years old. They're breadcrumbs. Mass shootings don't just happen. They're breadcrumbs that are left behind. It's just that people oversee it and they don't look at, what's being said, what's being posted, how they're behaving. And that comes part of the whole situational awareness that when I teach folks, that's what I tell them. You have to just be fucking just now times. You have to be situationally aware.
It's so sticky. It's like, do we need to give kids backpacks that are bulletproof? Do we need to make it where inside the class they can pull out something where it turns into a little bulletproof shelter? It seems like this is, and like you're saying, to piggyback off what you're saying, I do get it. But at the same time, right, I got picked on at school. I remember when I actually stood up for myself and hit the guy. I mean, I I had my little moment, and I had my couple bullies that it's just whatever. It built character, and I think there's something there that we shouldn't stray away from. But at the same time, knowing when is it too much, and so I guess what I'm saying is having somebody on campus looking out. Well, that also, just like just hear me out. National Geographic, when they film a elephant and a baby elephant, and the baby goes away from mom, they don't go in there and, hey, mom, come over here. No, they just have to watch it. And what I mean from an ecosystem standpoint of a public school setting, how much interfering or watching and telling the teacher you need to look for this, I understand safety is key, but are we not going to let kids be kids though? There's like a balance here. If there's a guy on the roof, like, by the way, Charlie Kirk, we're going to get into that. College students seen people on the roof. They didn't do shit. There's a guy on the roof. They didn't say anything. Piggyback off what I just said, and then we'll go into some Charlie Kirk stuff, kind of sum it up. So you think overall there can be done a right way, getting people on public schools, working with working with the school itself. Every school's different, finding out what they're trying to execute, where the problems lie, and trying to help bring answers instead of being the solver completely or getting too much involved. It sounds like trying to just.
Yeah. From what I know, Southern California has it right. They have a school department or school police department for the school district. They don't answer to the city. They don't answer to the county or the state. They're uniformed peace officers for the school district. And it's a sad state of affairs that a school district has to have their own police department. Yes. However, if you watch humanity, there's always going to be an evolution of things, and there's just a change of things. And unfortunately for us here in the United States, that's just our standard operating procedure for us. We're just evolving to have fucking violence more in school. So we have to be creative, whether it's private security, whether it's having an actual fucking police department, or in some places like Hillsborough, they have school resource officers taken out from the police department to embed in these fucking schools. What's that?
I feel like phones and social media play a role because a lot of these people aren't necessarily even bullied. They just want to do something to be remembered. So they'll go do something crazy just so the media will talk about them. And then that's kind of leads to them to do these crimes. Listen, we can't talk about it on YouTube, but 2021, 2022, a lot of shootings were happening. I was looking through the manifestos, but not in a way that online social media would ban you for, like you're condoning what they're doing. I was looking through and understanding that there's a lot of similarities. How could these people all have so many things in common and write these elaborate pages of whatever, not to go down a rabbit hole of government and psyops, but I'm just saying there's been a lot of, since 2020, a lot of shifting happening within our schools and people wanting to be seen. So they go do these things. And so do you think social media has played it, is speeding up, so to speak, these things happening at school compared to when you and I were in school? Because in the late 90s is when the Columbine happened, and I was in 7th grade. And so that was kind of the starting. But now it feels like it's always something.
It has done a lot of difference. And what I mean by that is that it has brought the world stage to a instant moment of gratification. When you and I went to school, we don't see the news until maybe the day after or the day of. Today's society, in this, we're dealing with instant gratification where news updates gets repeated and gets broadcasted immediately to the social media or cell phones or whatever the case may be. Where you and I, we didn't have that. So that 15 minutes of fame because I did a mass school shooting wasn't a thing when you and I were around. And also, let's focus back a little bit. Let's take it away from the schools. What is happening in the home life? What is happening that it's prompted the kid, the individual, that they're having to resort to violence to have their voices heard through violence? Like what is the cause? Rather than asking, why the fuck did you do this? We should be asking, what made us be here? Why are we here? What happened? What's going on? And a lot of things gets focused like, oh, we're going to invest $36 million on this new door that locks kids and students in. We need to be able to more find a psychology behind it into what is the, I'm sure there's trends, and FBI, if you're watching, you gotta publicize these numbers, because what is the connecting dots as to why these individuals are committing these crimes? Was it actually bullying? Well, there's other things. I was bullied in school because I didn't speak any fucking English. But I've never shot anybody. Fuck, here we are talking to this guy, and I've never shot anybody. So what is the fucking problem here? You know, what's the trend? So
do you feel like racism now, me coming from a small town and being a white guy, and you know, I got along with everybody. There's only one black kid in my school. I got cool with the Latinos. I was kind of like the good, I got along with everybody, and I didn't really see it, or maybe I just was oblivious to it just because I was just in my own little world. But I feel like now, after Obama and over the years, I feel like there is this kind of racism that's kind of growing, or this divide and animosity towards religion and race. Was it always there, or do you feel like it's getting more, or being you know, from Honduras and, like you said, not speaking much English? Did you get the fair end of the stick? Or
I will tell you this: when I tell people, and this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, I've noticed more racism from Native African Americans here in the United States. Because when I tell people where I'm from, they're like, "Oh, you're just an amigo then." I'm like, no, I'm not a fucking amigo. I'm from Honduras, but I am
disrespectful. I'm sorry. Like that's just like blanketing a whole South of the United States just being Latino or something like that. It's just like,
yeah.
Anyway, that would, and I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, that pissed me off. And when I tell people, you know, white folks, you know, white folks or anything other than African American, they're like, oh yeah, we're familiar with Honduras. That's like Central America. Or sometimes I get mistaken for, oh, you're from Hungary. No.
sorry.
Close. No, we got the right skin color, guy, but you're close. No, I noticed that I noticed it more from African American folks here in the United States. And there's the one phrase that I just recently heard that has described how I felt, and that is black fatigue. I didn't know. Yeah, that's an actual thing, and it totally makes sense. The whole thing of how I've been feeling, because there is, you can just, you know, fucking look it up, but that describes I'm a person of color. I can't be fucking racist, but I love all cultures. But there's just like, that's just what I've noticed, that the most that I've had, specifically for people that don't understand where I'm from or what I do. I'm Afro-eccentric. My mom is from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, you know, moved to Honduras, and my dad and all that jazz and stuff. So I'm just as black as anybody else. I just happen to pull out of the oven a little lighter. So
you mean to tell me that you in your life, for the most part, you would say that you've experienced more kind of racism kind of from people that maybe you would think you would tend more to kind of click with just the basic simple of just skin color, or just, you know, that low kind of vibe, when it's actually the complete opposite? You're like, oh shit, I guess I'm not dark enough, and I'm just, you know, or it's weird. It's kind of weird. You know, I'm out here in Italy. People call me, they call me a British or something like that. They say you're a Brit, and my wife has to say no, and then I get pissed because Brits eat baked beans with their breakfast. I don't do that shit. Baked beans with your breakfast, like, fuck off. I'm American, bitch. We got potatoes, eggs, ham. Anyway, it's like somebody telling you eat refried beans for breakfast. I'd be pissed off, man. You don't eat do you eat refried beans for breakfast? No, right? No, I mean, if you do, it doesn't matter. But that's.
I haven't done it. I haven't done it in years. But yeah, sometimes I
go ahead. Eat beans all you want. Beans, magical fruit.
Sometimes I do. But yeah, that's the general consensus. If somebody was to directly, and it's specific. Now, the important thing is tone and delivery. Now, if you were trying to sound derogatory and say it like that, oh yeah, I'm going to take offense to it. But if you were to be like more of an empathetic, or more of like state of a fact, or trying to ask, I'm not going to lie. I'm a typical eggs, bacon, croissant, and tea guy.
Damn, you know, it's so crazy that the times we live in. Let's go back to social media. Now, I think it's already proven. Our phones can listen to us. Back in the day, you drive down the road, you think of a song, you flip on the radio, the song comes on. A lot of people don't understand. In a way, there's something kind of, not to get all philosophical, but there's something there, almost like you manifested it. Now, with our phones, we already know they're listening. And everybody forgot about Mark Zuckerberg since he went to the White House, and now he's rubbing Trump elbows. Everybody forgets about all the fact checks and all the shit he's done for several years, especially conservatives. Everybody just forgets like they got Joe Biden dementia. Listen, People like Austin Metcalf, who got stabbed by Carmelo Anthony. What if, and I'm not giving these kids excuses, but what if the algorithms, if you click like me, I got tits on my Instagram. I looked at one video and now all I got is like women and skippy shit. I'm like telling my wife, this isn't what you think. But there's something here, and I think we need to look at it. The algorithms. What if you're fed the white guy's the issue, colonizers, all that time? You just liked one video. Now that's all you're getting and all you're getting. So now you go to a track meet, you see this white kid, and then you just go. I'm just saying, I think that might play a role. I don't know, but our phones are listening. Like there's ads that pop up on my Instagram or Facebook after I talk with my wife. This isn't just hypothetical. I mean, it's actually happening. So with that being said, what do you think? I mean, do you think this could play a role too? I mean, if your algo is kind of in control of your digital world, this can shape it, like spills into our reality. If you're seeing all this negative online, it can spill and convolute your mind where you're just polluted, or no? I mean, what do you think?
No, you're correct. And I was having that actual thought. I'm like, what is the point of algorithms, and to who is the person benefiting other than the app itself? Because I could tell you, I never agreed with the algorithms. Every so often they get it right, but I could tell you more times or not, they've always gotten it wrong. So who really do they serve other than the app itself, and to drive AdSense? We've seen this everywhere. At the bottom little thing, you click on AdSense to remove it, and it really doesn't work. You just see it even more.
You know, I make content since 2006 on YouTube, back when you just made it with your friends. I got videos going back 19 years of just with my buddies. Now every day, now people get paid, and that's why I feel like a big issue. You said AdSense, so that's why my mind, AdSense, YouTube AdSense. People are doing stuff for clicks and views. It's like Bam Margera, CKY on steroids. I think that is added to the destruction as well, and it's all because they want to get money. They don't care about what they're putting out there and the repercussions. And to piggyback off of what you're saying, Facebook, real quick, they announced last year about bots and stuff, and how AI, dude, on Facebook, there's all these like I had to tell my cousin, hey, I love you, cuz, but that's a fake AI story. You just made these people money. Like people are so, they just reshare shit. And now Facebook, here, I know I'm getting excited, dude. I think Facebook, to make extra money, they made a bunch of these fake kind of AI kind of accounts, and they're like an octopus. They're making money from all these different little things. So people are stupid. They don't know difference between fake and real, and they're liking it, and they're making, because I make Facebook. I make a little bit of money on Facebook, and you make some from posting photos, from posting stories, from posting. So even just a photo that people don't think, if it has 10,000 likes, dude, that guy could make at least damn near $100. Anyway, it's money. So I think Facebook and these companies are part involved too. They're leading to the de-evolving of us. Anyway.
I agree with that. I don't do this for monetary reasons. I'm a regular guy. I have a regular job. It just so happens that I kind of delve into this. So I don't make a lot of money, but I make, let's just say I don't make enough to survive on, but it's just fun to do. So I did notice that about, and I hate that Instagram is part of Meta, because I didn't have Facebook for the longest time. If Zuckerberg is watching this, I'm sorry, but I don't like Facebook. I don't like Facebook. But the fact, and ever since Instagram merged and the whole Meta thing, I'm like, fuck, I guess if I must. I even went and I bought the fucking Meta glasses. Ooh. Which, by the way, they're amazing. But I even bought the fucking Meta glasses. So yeah, I think there's you're right. There is something going on with they're creating AI accounts and doing fucking weird things because people are dumb.
So dumb. And that's why it's perfect right now. And you said the Meta glasses. Some people speculate some of the people close to Charlie Kirk when he died that day were wearing Meta glasses. And there's so many discrepancies about, like, Robinson, a few moments after it happened, being in a parking lot. People speculate he was dropping off his grandfather's. Dude, just, I don't want to get too far because it's. But what do you think about the whole Charlie Kirk thing, and just from a tactical standpoint and everything? Can you just share? I know you've talked a lot about this probably on your own platform, but just what do you think about the whole Charlie Kirk thing? What do you make out of it in a couple minutes? Just, it's
unfortunate that it happened to him. I really like the guy. I like Turning Point USA, and as some of my people know, I'm a conservative, and I really like the fact that he was just trying to communicate and have a discussion with people to get their point of view. That was basically it. most people didn't agree with it, and they were really militant about it. But what whole thing that happened to him and how it went down, dude, there's some fucking holes to be plugged, man. Like I have questions about the two executive protection guys that were behind him. I have questions about the college. They had videos of the kid going to the rooftop. There's just so many questions that I have that it's so unfortunate that we've lost him at such an early time in our society where we need somebody like him, because he wasn't militant at all. He was just, let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. I believe that, you should have a, Christian household, be a man, have kids, be married, be committed to marriage, and, and moving on from there. People don't like that. In fact, I get flack. I've lost so many people because I said I support Charlie Kirk, and I've always liked this stuff. I enjoy Turning Point USA. That I've lost a lot of viewers, which is fine. Because like I said, I don't do this professionally. I just do it just for fucking funsies and whatnot.
Yeah.
By the way, where is my cat? I was thinking about it. Tony!
Oh, you got a cat too? Yeah, this is Mookie, this little shit right here. Yeah, the Charlie Kirk thing, totally it's too much. The hatch below, now the school already repaired or did some remodeling. It's just, if he was the president, it would be like the JFK of our time. Since he wasn't a president, but he was a high profile figure, this will be going down. This won't be a story that will be swept under the rug. His message will live on. But I'm really getting sick of all these people trying to go to colleges now, and everybody trying to be that next thing like he was. And there's no filling those shoes. And I think it's weird when people go to college campuses and anyway, I think everybody wants to do it now because now that spot kind of is empty. And so people feel like they can kind of fill that. And it's just weird. And it's really disgusting too, how I've seen a lot of alternative influencers kind of jump on and kind of like vampires, just kind of leeching on to the Charlie situation. Candace Owens not being one, but it seems like everybody else kind of is. So what if you can kind of tell in this moment the real from the fake. Now, you mentioned in one of your videos, I'm going to pull up right here. Now, this is on your YouTube channel, which we will share. This is you talking about some people that you recommend trusting. You told people, hey, man, I can't be out there in Oregon. I mean, I'm in Oregon, but I can't be out there on the ground and stuff. But these are people you should check out. Why did you mention those people that we see right there? Why would you?
The reason is because most of these folks that are Pacific Northwest, and they're local folks. They're not going to have the agenda of KGW or KPTV. They're really showing you the reality of what's happening, and they don't have the station restrictions like KPTV, KGW, ABC, CBS. They're literally just there reporting what they really see. Sometimes their spin might be incorrect, but the thing about when you're watching these local individuals is that you're able to see, forget what they're saying, forget what the what's the word I'm looking for? Forget the audio, is what you're seeing. If KGW is reporting, hey, there were no arrests done today here at Portland Waterfront, but yet you're watching some local streamer that they said, yeah, there's 2 arrests going on right now. That tells you volumes. So that's why I trust these 2 folks. Plus, they don't have really an agenda. They don't have really no rhetoric. These folks are for common sense.
Like Benny Johnson, Nick Sorter, these are some of the people. Nick, who just got arrested down there, and
yeah, and that sparked the whole thing because even though Nick got arrested, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to investigate Portland police. I will tell you this, and I have not told this to anybody than you just now. I was down at Portland Waterfront 2 days ago. I was getting off, coming from Macadam, going towards, because I had a site right next to the ICE building on the other side of the railroad tracks, east side. Antifa was blocking me. They had full control of the intersection, and Portland police was sitting there just watching like they were fucking explorers. Like, wait, what? What the fuck is happening? And my company vehicle, it's a black police interceptor, light bars, lights, the whole 9 yards. What the fuck? Why are you letting these fucking hooligans control a city that's controlling the flow of traffic. What the fuck is happening in this town? No
Right.
wonder.
I heard that the political people in Portland were telling the police that to only, if it was any federal like ICE officers, to report them and what they're doing, handling people. Do not report on Antifa or I don't think they said Antifa specifically, but they were saying like just focus on these federal worker, the ICE agents. Just focus on them and what they're doing. Don't help them, but keep us alert. And that already is already showing that Antifa and the police are working together, and there has to be something. The Homeland Secretary of Homeland Security,
Pam Bondi.
Yes. She was just there in Portland yesterday, and the police chief, there's a look on his face. I don't have the image right now, but
I know exactly what you're talking about, where they were coming out of the briefing down the hallway.
Yeah, and she just kind of looked at him, and he looked like he was going to cry. So you're saying these people going down, getting the real scoop. Look what's happening. Look how you're getting another look into something that the legacy news wouldn't show you. And this right here is where you're probably most likely going to find the truth, even if they get the audio wrong or the wording. You're going to get more truth with this than this. Do you also think, though, since legacy is corrupt, that alternative news, a guy like Benny Johnson, CNN's corrupt and they get paid off, and that can happen. But do you also think it's almost maybe could be easier to take a bunch of alternative guys like Benjamin Netanyahu was doing with influencers and having them spread a good message about Israel, which was bullshit? Can they get corrupted too? I mean, obviously, right?
Anything. I mean, from the history of time, anything could be corrupted. Absolutely. That's why it is important to have a well-adjusted and educated society to be able to determine, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. Rather than just like, oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Then agreeing with everybody. I always tell folks on my videos, whether it's a gun review or an opinion, I always tell folks, look it up for yourself. You don't believe me? Look it up for yourself. This is the shit that's happening. And I think people have stopped being the look up yourself type of individual, and they just take everything by value rather than actually doing the hard work and looking up and be like, well, what's going on here? Here's an example, and I'll make this really, really brief. ICE in that facility has been there for years. The federal agents are there to do a job legally protected by the U.S. Constitution of removing sexual offenders, violent offenders from the United States. None of this fiasco would happen if they let the agents do their job on removing violent offenders out of our country. None of this would happen. We wouldn't have the Secretary of State. We wouldn't have Texas National Guard, California. We wouldn't have this issue if they were blocking the obstruction of them coming in and out of their facility or blocking interstate.
Okay. I
None
get
of
what
this
you're
would
saying.
happen.
All this commotion is happening because people are going to ICE facilities. Congressmen and women are demanding that they get let in. Then they bring all these freaking losers with their signs and just they're like you say, they're messing with people's ability to do their job. And when you're doing that at that level, you're messing with you're screwing with shit.
You're screwing with shit with the operation. And at that point, you're not dealing with Portland police. You're not dealing with Oregon State police. You're dealing with a federal protected operation that they don't have to be PC when they tell you, oh, step back. Oh, no, they're just going to fuck you over because I don't know what your intent is. And here's a video that I saw today that shows the amount of class that this agency has. The secretary was interviewing an undocumented sexual offender, and she was interviewing, and she was saying, hey, you're going to be held accountable to the full extent of the law. And this is something that she does that just gave me fucking goosebumps just thinking about it. She thanked him for his time to talk to her. She thanked him. This is the chief fucking person of this agency that only answers to the president. And she's telling you, hey, man, you're going to be fully extent to the law, prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But thank you for taking this time and talking to me. I would be a complete asshole when I said, hey, shitberg, you like raping girls? Yeah, you're going to like where you're going. But this person, and I'm not trying to kiss ass or anything. That's just the facts that be. That this individual, if this is what the head of the agency acts, this is a great opportunity for people to be like, you know what? Maybe they're doing the right thing and getting these violent offenders off the road or off the highway, off the houses. that are doing these crimes. This guy was a sex offender, a deviant. God knows how many victims that he has. But no, if we can get rid of ICE, I would love to get rid of ICE because they're just trapping people.
You see, what happens is people in Portland and Los Angeles, anybody that has a brain that wants to kind of get involved in the community or speak out against it, eventually will end up being doxxed or threatened, or they have to leave. And that's what these people, they want you to leave. And if you're somebody maybe such as yourself that works and you got to find a fine line on when to shut the fuck up, or your information's not. So you're in a rock and a hard place, I feel sometimes. I would think, because you're in a place like Oregon, and even if you might be in a more of a redder kind of county or whatnot, you still are in a state like California and Washington where there's crazy Antifa and extremists, where if they don't like what you're saying, they'll just come after you. And I've had it done to me. They said I was beating up homeless people. They tweeted out the 40,000 and it's fake news. Doesn't matter. People come into your house, they're slashing your tires, taking photos of your wife in the shower. I mean, it gets, and then if you try to protect yourself, you go to jail. So, have you ever, I mean, in Oregon, is it like that? So, I mean, literally in Los Angeles, the cop told me, give us a call after they break in. like I was put on hold calling 911. I mean, what's it up in your neck of the woods?
Well, I would tell you this from a private security standpoint. When you call 911, first of all, you're going to be on hold for quite a while. And then they'll ask you, what's the nature of your emergency? Oh, I got this guy. He looks like he's about to break into a car. Is somebody hurt or they need medical? Well, no, but I need you to check this guy out because he's about to do something. Okay, well, we might send somebody later. And that's it. I will tell you this. Here's the other thing that not a lot of people know. Downtown Portland is patrolled by private security. Garda-World, to be exact. It's called Downtown Clean and Safe. And these guys are either on foot or on bike or on car. Some of them, the supervisors, are armed. They respond to low-level calls, and they kind of serves like a triage. Remember I said earlier about school resource? It's working. Mm-hmm. Portland is using Garda-World to triage calls to dictate, okay, can we de-escalate? Can we handle this nuisance, a vagrancy, this trespass? Can we handle it, or do we need to get Portland police? Downtown Portland is using private security to enforce low-level calls, and the Portland Business Bureau loved it so much that in January 2026 that they're expanding their foothold. So yes, I do see that. Yeah, Portland police, not all of them, not the system its whole sucks. The officers, 50-50. Right. They're just a victim of the politics that's involved with Commission today. And if you look, I urge people to look. Police commissioners in Portland don't last more than 3 fucking years. Look at Danielle Outlaw. She was here not even a fucking year. She moved back east. She said, fuck this. Portland, y'all motherfuckers are whacked. She left back east.
Whenever they want to start, whenever they really start doing their job and it goes against what people don't want them to do, they have to bounce out because they get rid of them some way, some shape, some form. Oh my gosh. I was just thinking how we haven't even got to talk about guns, and that's what you specialize in guns. Can you talk about talking about guns in the social media age, how you always got to be careful about how you talk about it. You're walking on eggshells to a certain degree. Can you just what's that like?
The beauty about Instagram is that the minute you get that blue badge, you get assigned a meta representative that you talk about things. So like one of my main complaints is like, hey man, how the fuck I'm not getting certain views on certain things? They're like, oh, because you're depicting firearms. I'm like, whoa. I'm depicting safety on firearms, right? Yeah. And it's now gotten to the point because, firearms is a hot topic. A lot of things now I have to talk with them monthly, and we talk about post by post. This is what this depicts. Like if you ever notice, most of my videos or pictures don't include pointing it at people. It's always in the standpoint of safety. Like I'm an NRA instructor. We need to practice gun safety firearms. And what's the best place to reach people than fucking social media? So this is what I do. But it has given me a lot of flack. Not just from like Meta themselves, viewers. Well, I don't like your stuff. Guns are bad. You should have your magazine in some different place than your gun. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose, guy. You don't have to watch my content. Like, you don't have to.
What are some of these guns? Like, what is? I'm clueless about guns. I mean, my brothers hunt. I used to go when they'd go shoot clay pigeons. I was the guy in the videos and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little bit about just your background in guns and what are we looking at? And then I want to pivot back.
So aside from being a business owner, I'm also an NRA instructor. I teach rifle, pistol, and shotgun, and I also teach concealed carry for people that have been involved in domestic violence or women that wants to get their confidence back and they want to be able to protect themselves. And that's what I teach. I use the NRA because it's the most longest social civic organization in the United States, and it has great rules that it's embedded with our nation's sheriffs. So if you take a class from me, you can go to the sheriff's office, give them my certificate, and say, okay, I want to get my concealed carry. I took this class from John Graham. And then the sheriff will say, okay, let me see if he's valid. You're good to go. Here's your concealed carry. Have a good day. And that's basically what I do. That on top of that, I also work with KWA Performance Industries, and I travel around the country and I sell less than lethal firearms, i.e. airsoft, 1-for-1 scale to law enforcement agencies for force-on-force training. And I go to numerous tactical scenario shows, law enforcement shows, Department of Defense events where I get invited, and we talk about what is an effective and most cost means way that we can train our troops on safe handling and how to work on specific scenarios that's not going to break the budget, because ammo is expensive nowadays. And with our weapons, if I give you one of our weapons, you couldn't tell the difference. I guarantee you, because everything is metal. Magpul buttstock, handguard, optics, fully functioning bolt carrier group. You'll carry the recoil, you'll feel it. And you can add a suppressor and it'll have tracer rounds. So you can use night optics and you can see the little pew go out into the fucking space as tracer rounds. So you can do nighttime operations with our weapons that I am.
And this is professional. Like when you see like the videos of people with teams and and you get hit one of these, they hurt. I mean, my brother shot me in the ass with our Red Ryder BB gun when I was a kid. He had me purposely go out. Anyway, that shit fucking hurt. But dude, that doesn't even hurt compared to some of these I mean, oh my God, talk about. Do you have to get hit by one of these when you do your training?
Well, that's the beauty. That is the beauty about force on force, because the alternative that we have is sim rounds, which hurts, which is an actual projectile that can break bone depending on how close the minimum engagement is. But with ours, it has just the right amount of joules that you will notice you're going to get hit. So then in your mind, that changes things from just the typical pew pew. You have to think now strategies and tactics on preventing you to get hit. So now, rather than just standing at a door frame, what are you going to do? Are you going to slice the pie? Are you going to do bebobbing like this? Are you going to get a second person to get cover low and you get high? And how are you going to approach the corner? So that changes the dynamic on training far immensely. And not to mention, guess what? Our ammo, biodegradable. You can just leave that shit everywhere. Just who fucking cares? It'll just fugazi.
Dude, you just now hit. So what you can do and what your company, what you're saying is, it's all about saving money. So we find out the Department of Government Efficiency, and we want to train our troops. We want to train military. We want to train the youth on how to be in these situations without losing ammo. So getting hit by one of these airsofts, at least you got that little bit of that adrenaline. You kind of know what it's like in the moment. And we're taking people that maybe started at 18 or 17 playing Call of Duty and zombies they seen, they want to go into the military, but they're not for sure. But then they could even maybe go sign up, take one of your classes. And even though it's not that, it still levels up. And anyway, this is crazy.
I will tell you this.
This is technology at a great level. I mean, this wasn't around 15 years ago. Sorry, I'm getting excited. This is cool.
I will tell you this. I will say this. My portfolio, personally, I have furnished Department of Homeland Security. I have furnished Border Patrol. I have furnished LAPD, Maricopa Sheriff's Office, NYPD with my training weapons that used out in the field for training. So when you tell an agency or a purchaser that for $4,500, I can give you a Pelican case, 5 rifles, 5 pistols, 2 2 magazines each, with 6,000 rounds of ammo, it's game changer as opposed to sim rounds, which is $1 per round. $1 per round. That changes the dynamic of the conversations a lot. Plus, US based support here in the United States, or you can call me directly. I'm a real guy, fresh and bone. I'm not some fucking guy from overseas, and I'm an officer as well. So you know what? I could point the camera, but the room is a mess. I have a stack of 6 guns that I use for training for myself with target practice here, where I know what my weakness is, and that's my transition from primary to secondary. And I practice at home here. Imagine what it's like in the field. It could be beautifully done. Here's the other thing. Our weapons could be used anywhere. Schools, churches, buildings, anywhere. My uptick in 2024 was church security groups buying my firearms for training.
Damn, that's so crazy to think about churches because all the attacks and stuff. I'm not saying it shouldn't be necessary because that should be where you should go. You shouldn't have to worry about cameras and guns and security. You should never have to worry about it. But as we find out in the United States, especially with, let's be honest, like churches, like Christian, and I mean, in particular, you know, we're seeing a lot of like Catholic Church and Christian. Anyway, these all kind of religions are kind of seeing some kind of like shit, but churches in general, these, you know, the churches that, you know, Christianity and such. So yeah, damn, you're right. You can use them anywhere. I have so many questions, but damn, we only have so much time. It's just it's open Pandora's box on the benefits of this technology, how it's opened up, not just saving money, but how to train and how to get people that are maybe a little nervous, maybe even picking up a gun. Well,
our technology is so, and it's not even new technology. It's like, it's been around for a while. It's so good that a major conservative show host, his name is Lars Larson, he came to Vegas. Newsflash, I've been going to SHOT Show as a presenter at first and then as a keynote speaker for KWA for like the last 6 years. I just got my media credentials. So I did an interview for Lars Larson, and we talked about how because I am currently the only person west of the Mississippi that does these things. I take PTO and I travel. I go to the Air Force bases, I go to military installations, and I deliver. It's almost like that movie with Nick Cage, Lord of War, where I just go with the weapon and I deliver it. It's actually this. It's the same thing, where I go, okay, this is our firearms. This is how it works. Like I go to like SWAT competitions, and I partake. And you know, I'm still a decently in shape guy, and I'm still a accredited officer, so I still play around. And everybody likes to pew pew, but wouldn't it be great that if you can pew pew anywhere without having to kill someone? So now what I'm noticing is that individuals at home are using our weapons for weapons training. And also, newsflash, when I teach my classes, I use my firearms. So that deviates the stress of going to the range and loud noises and strangers and shit for people that have anxiety, because I got to be inclusive. I use my weapons. I surely function how it works, the bolt carrier group, and even then, I can break the weapon down just like the real firearm and show the mechanism on how a firearm works. That's how good our weapons are. And I'm not just saying that trying to sell it. That's just the fact of the shit is I've been doing this shit for years. And I am not a salesperson. I hate selling. But with something this good, I've gotten with KWA since I started.
I already see how you're talking about. You believe in it, and if you believe in something, you're not selling it. It sells itself. Like I used to have my own cannabis delivery service, and I didn't have to sell the shit. I was good at picking brands and quality, and the shit just sold itself. And as long as I had a good product and I was there on time, and I took the customer their time under consideration, and it all kind of comes up. But you just give me an idea. If I was
funny you say that. Because I'm in the cannabis industry myself, and I provide private security to the cannabis industry. And for training officers in private security, I use my fucking guns, guy.
Dude, down in Southern Oregon, when I went to my buddies in Wolf Creek, I mean, he was out there. They have gun rights where it was like, take us some. I mean, I don't recommend this, but pot farm, taking a hit of dabs, which I don't recommend this, but I didn't shoot the gun. But anyway, his buddies, like, there's guns going off in the woods. I mean, people have their guns, their licenses, their smoke. You're not supposed to smoke
You're
and
not
shoot. I'm
supposed
just
to.
saying you're not supposed to. I'm saying Southern Oregon, but they're in Southern Oregon. You're out in the country, and I'm hearing guns. I remember telling my friend Bo, I was like, dude, there's gunshots in the distance. He goes, dude, there's always gunshots. People are just shooting their guns out here. But what you got me thinking was, if I was a principal, let's say in a school in Compton, for example, I'm just using this as an example. I know it's been a little bit of, what they call it, gentrification or whatever the fuck. But what if you went to some of these communities, dominantly, it's just Black communities, a lot of crime. And what if you're able to get, and this isn't necessarily the youth, because it's people 18, 19 out of school doing all the shootings. But there is youth doing it, and there is teens, but getting them this kind of stuff, after school program, or letting them go and shoot with this, and maybe they won't have to have that. They let it out. I like to rap. I'm a white guy, but I like to rap, and I do that, express myself. It's like my own way to let it out. So the way you're saying, maybe that there could be something there to let kids let this out without.
It's funny you say that, because in Southern California, airsoft is huge. And there's this one specific company, it's EVIC, EVIKE, that they have their EVIC Superstore, and they do that. They have their Airsoft Con that they host every year. So you have G&G, Lancer Tactical, KWA, Specna Arms, huge companies that come in, and they have scenarios where kids can come out and play, but nobody's interested. And they have this thing called the CQB Challenge, where you learn strategies and tactics, proper weapons handling, shit like that, where it's not only just fun to play, but you actually learn something from it. For example, for airsoft, we know that if you're going from the vehicle to a car or to a field, you always have to have either a barrel stock or you have to have your weapon concealed going to and from the field. Basic firearm safety. Never point at anything you're not intending to destroy. Never keep your finger on a trigger. Always be aware of your backstock and surrounding. And always keep your finger, keep your finger off the trigger. Basic stuff. There is a video in my YouTube early on where I was teaching an 8-year-old how to move defensively after my instruction, and he did phenomenally. I can't talk. I've been drinking a lot. Phenomenally. There's early on in my video, dude, like way back. Like, it was actually pretty good. Oh, you're looking at it. Wow, this guy's fast.
We're gonna pull up. I hit subscribe and I hit the notification bell. That way, whenever you post, I get notified what you post. So everybody else needs to go do that too. So you said oldest. Let's just,
Yeah, it's one of the oldest videos, and I was let's see, keep going. It's just the kid and me. Let's see.
Well, this is good. No, that way people can go and they can go check it out. But tell me more. So there's this kid and you, and you're able to teach him.
Yeah. So I was able. The kid. Oh, there it is, right there. One down.
Right here.
That one.
Okay.
That one. Yes. The kid was able to practice weapon discipline by keeping his finger off the trigger until he was ready to engage so beautifully that I've never seen an adult at first instance. See, look, there it is right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude. It needs to be like this. Kid can't be like getting people scared of this stuff. The earlier you get people familiar and stuff. I mean, did you hear when Minnesota, the shooting happened at the school, a boy talked about his friend, luckily his friend lived, but his friend protected him, and hearing a young boy talk about how his friend pushed him down to protect him. I'm not saying that they would have had a gun, but I'm just saying this builds this. I don't know. It builds some character and I don't know. There's nothing but positive is what I'm saying. This is nothing but positive. This is
absolutely.
This is good.
If we train the right people to be this of a positive influence for the youth, to be able to do basic sporting things like this, we have the NRA, we have the Civilian Sportsmen's Association, where they can go out and do things. And guess what? You can compete and win awards on how good you are. Like,
dude, that's badass. And look in here, this place is all set up and stuff. Like,
okay, so full disclosure, this is Extreme Velocity in Salem off Portland Road. They have two sides. It's airsoft, and see right here, he's chronoing his weapon to make sure that it's not running too hot. Meaning that if it has higher than 400 feet per second, it can't be used in the field. So now he's going to be he's going to be moving and learning basic movement. Yeah, it's buried in my fucking
Call of
YouTube.
Duty sitting on your ass, but this is what kids need to be doing, man. This is where, you know, the Call of Duty, I understand, but being a guy who grew up on video games myself, but this is where they need to transition into, or this is what, look at this. They're getting training, experience. They're out and about.
Oh, yeah. You'll see him eventually moving. He's moving his weapon, and he has it at the low ready, just like you would. And I made a joke one day that most police officers in a quarter, let's say of 3 months, they don't train with their firearms. Not often. As opposed to someone like this. Like, I train with my firearm weekly. My pistol and my rifle, weekly. I have a designated marksman rifle, which I'm able to engage targets up to 80, 100 yards. But I also have a 90-degree cant, so I'm able to, engage targets. And look, there he is right there. Look at him,
dude. Wow, what's
look
going
at him.
on? What?
Yeah,
and he's listening to you.
He takes cover.
Yeah, dude, that is so. Oh man. And he's listening, and they're listening. They're getting
minimum exposure through the plane, so he's not exposing his whole upper body, just enough to get a clear sight and engage his target. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. The kid is really good, and look, he's able to move side by side.
Dude. And what it builds to, I guess, what the words I was looking for when you're young like this, you're following directions. You know, I was a little rambunctious kid. It was hard to kind of stay put. I can only imagine when this kid goes to school. Maybe he might be a little bit more assertive when he's taking notes or paying attention to the teacher more. I mean, you have to get them kind of liking a little something, and then when you throw them into school, they're going to go ahead and do it because they got to do that because he likes it. The kid's liking this. But
interesting factoid, you saw when I moved in ahead, the first thing he said, because I told him at the beginning, no flagging. He puts his weapon down so he doesn't flag me from my back. Just like that.
Wow.
Just like that.
Wow. A discipline. Yes, the guy in the chat. We got people in the chat. Hey, everybody in the chat. Sorry. Somebody says it builds discipline. That's the word I was looking for.
You.
Discipline and how important that is.
Yeah. Man. Kids moving, covering concealment, uncovering his left side.
This is so badass, dude. Wow. And so people, they can reach out, to if people had questions or they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. They can reach out to me anytime. They can go through my website. They can reach me on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. If they have any questions, I may not know all of it for their area, but I sure do my due diligence. And I love talking to folks and seeing how they're wanting to be involved with guns. Guns are not scary. It's just a tool to be able to give you safety or recreational. It's up to the individual to use that weapon and to give it meaning. If you use it for bad, well, you're just a bad shitbird. But if you use it for good and use it for recreational or for training, then that's great. And you've said this phrase a lot. You said builds character. And one of your folks in your chat, it says, yeah, it builds confidence. It absolutely does. And last I've heard, when I talked, I found out what this kid is to this day. No issues whatsoever in school. I think he's like working, but there's no violence in school. He didn't bring a gun to school. None of that shit, bro. None of that.
Yeah, it seems like kids nowadays, before we kind of wrap, I got a couple more questions to wrap it up. So it's like 2008, there's a thing called chat roulette. It's where just a camera spins and different people pop on camera. And I remember going on with my buddies, a lot of people showing their dicks, weird shit. But there was these people going to sleep. They were just sleeping and they had the camera on. And it made me think how people are so feeling alone that they'll just have a camera on them and watch them asleep because they just want the thought of that somebody is watching them. And me being a middle child and always wanting attention from mom or dad, even if it was negative because I wanted it, I feel like just with the internet, people today, they can't even have a conversation with their friend. They're reaching out to somebody on TikTok instead of going to their friend. They're asking somebody who doesn't really give a flying hoot, just goes ahead and likes their video. So anyway, I just think this is so important for kids to have something that they could do. And I think this just...
And to give you a little more substance, I never met my dad. I'm an only child. I am a recipient of a single woman household. And I have to be able to define my own definition of a man. So I grew up TV generation. TV was what defined me. And I was lucky that my grandmother raised me and I was able to have the upbringing, the morals and whatnot that I have now. But it's not all bad. It's trust me, it's not all bad. And I love talking to folk. I love talking to kids. I love talking to individuals who don't have a meaning to their life. They don't have a sense of purpose. And sure you are. Sure, there's an absolute meaning and purpose to your life. And I love talking to folks. I'm just, like I said, I'm just a regular person. I'm not, the only reason fucking Instagram calls me an influencer because that's what, when the emails come in, oh, Grounded Tactical /influencer. I'm like, God damn it. I'm just a regular fucking guy.
Yeah, no, you're doing a lot of great stuff here. And I think it's awesome. I want to kind of get at the last two questions. One, what's it mean being a American to you? You know, you're a veteran. Like you said, your mom came here the legal way, and you are a I mean, I like just whatever. Yeah. So you're an immigrant and you're Honduran, and
I acknowledge my Honduran culture, my culture background, and I acknowledge it. When I took the test, I also acknowledge that this is my homeland. This is my people. This is the political climate that I feel closest to. Therefore, I have to respect and follow the ways of accepting and acknowledging this culture that I have. I am a proud American. And most folks say that immigrants who become U.S. citizens are more American than those that became native because they were born into it. We chose. We took the test. We had to study a test to be a citizen. And I acknowledge that. And I accept it. And I am more patriotic than most of the Americans born here.
Yeah, my wife, she showed me the thing, which all the questions I was helping her. There was over 100 questions she had to know. And then she had to go in and take it. And they pick a couple. And I was like, damn, holy shit, I don't even know these. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know this shit. But and then when people say, oh, they should be able to come anyway, it's like, no, people like you, people like my wife that had to understand. And another thing, going back to just appreciating being an American, yeah, a lot of people kind of take it for granted. And as we're finding out, and as I tell people that go to Mexico on vacation, since the cartel's been bringing drugs in, I tell anybody that goes to vacation in Mexico, dude, you're treason. Go to Honduras, go to Italy for all I care, but don't go to Mexico. And that's what they just said. The cartel said they're going to start targeting. So they just said today they're going to start targeting Americans. So for all those people waving Mexican flags, my great grandpa came on a boat from Scotland. And I love the fact that, yeah, my great grandfather's from Scottish and I want to go to Scotland one day and all that. But when some of these people waving the Mexican flags and their grandpa came from Mexico or whatever, and it's like, what are you doing? And they're kind of like shitting on America. You basically hit the nail on the head. You're like, hey, I'm Honduran. You know, I love my grandma, where I'm from, but this is where my mom, and this is where I am. This is my homeland. This is what I respect. I am an American. And damn it, that feels good hearing somebody say that, because there's people out there that feel a certain way about illegal immigration, even immigration in general. And I think we would be stupid to not want more people that are as passionate and want to go into service and serve the country like you have. So thank you for your service, and thank you for the love that you have. You bleed the red, white, and blue. I can tell you do, and it's a really cool thing, man. What is that? Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'll tell you this: if you look at the numbers from Border Patrol, 50% of Border Patrol agents are Hispanic.
Oh.
With 20% being Latino. And if you look up the video footages of all the individuals out protesting and whatnot here in Portland, just take a glance of what is the percentage of white folks or Latino out protesting, causing a ruckus and getting arrested. And that's all.
most of this is older. I see a lot of older white folk in their late 60s and 70s. It's like they come from a generation that was so kind of just, I don't know, they caused a lot of the issues, and they think that trying to make up for it later in their years, they can go out and hold up a sign. And I don't know, my father's one of them. I love him to death, but he's just, we don't see on political lines. I like to think I'm more just kind of in the center. I just kind of see how it is. There's good from a little bit of here, a little bit of there.
It is. And I appreciate the people that are here protesting and having their voice heard. That is their right. I totally accept it and I understand it. But the problem that I have is they're making a mockery of the whole process of hearing your voice. Why the fuck do I have to see a woman in a wheelchair with her tits open, or a guy in a duck suit, or a guy in a fucking Charmander suit? What is your purpose? What message are you trying to portray? Are you trying to say that you're fucking retarded? Because that's what I'm seeing. Like,
yep.
Stand firm for what you believe, but also be tactful. Don't. At this point, you're just doing it for clout and for show. Like, what? And one thing I want to touch before I go, that the revival movement of MAGA, it's actually nothing new. Each separate nation have their own revival movement. Russia, coincidentally, has theirs. It's called Make Russia Great Again. The Chinese have it. It's called the Great Rejuvenation of the China Nation. Granted, their core theme and their impact is different. Poland, theirs is called Law and Justice. Ours is called Make America Great Again. So why are you opposed of a core theme that is anti-corruption, strong law enforcement, economic independence, military pride? Why would you, as an American citizen, be opposed to that? Even India, Japan has it's called Beautiful Country, Utsuki Ukuniye, where their core value is restoring national pride, military modernization, and constitutional reform. Why are you so opposed of us being a great nation that you're going to great lengths to attack and harass federal officials or anybody that represents this movement, such as our friend Charlie Kirk? There's no reason other than you're a terrorist.
Yeah. Oh, can you just mention real quick? Maybe you can help, and then we'll end it with this. So when you see Antifa and people are getting arrested from Antifa, and Donald Trump just said they're a terrorist organization, why are these people aren't getting just all arrested? Is it because anybody can just shout Antifa? Doesn't mean they are. They have to really I'm Antifa, like the guy who shouted like he shot Charlie, but he didn't, and that's a whole other different rabbit hole too. But why aren't they just getting rounded up and arrested if they're saying they're Antifa?
Look, man, I will tell you this. I can't speak for the entire political climate of the United States. I can only tell you about my little slice of heaven. And I can tell you that Portland police, I can just say that Portland police is one-sided from what I've seen. If you're on camera telling these folks on what they can say and how they can avoid being prosecuted, but yet you're arresting a citizen who's trying to stomp the American flag from burning, that says a lot. That speaks volumes. That speaks what's going on in our political climate here in the Pacific Northwest, and that needs to be stopped.
Well, shoot, man, we were chopping it up. John Graham from Grounded Tactical. You can find him on Instagram. I got the YouTube. I'll put everything in the links. I'll make sure to send it over. I'll be posting some highlight clips later. This is being streamed on all social media and right here on Compound Censored. So Compound Censored is the #1 MAGA network, by the way. Anthony Cumia and Gavin McInnes are the ones behind Compound Censored, and I love really Gavin. Cool. It's so cool to be here on this network, and I'm hoping everybody on the network will like what we cooked up. I normally go Monday, Thursday, Saturday, but Wednesdays we're doing some special interviews. And thank you so much. I love Gavin too. He gave me an opportunity to come on this network, and it got to the point where he had to be like, "Hey man, can you not post so much?" Because I was like, "You let me on." For like 8 months, I was going 5 days a week, almost every day posting. It's like, "Hey, calm down, Bucko." But I was just like, "Fuck, you give me the opportunity." And one last thing, when you get an opportunity, do you take it, right? You want to seize it, right? Because you never know if it's going to come again. Are you that way? If somebody gives you this chance, do you go take it? Because I tend to just
Hey,
take
man.
the chance.
It is
you know?
the American way to seize the opportunity because you never know when it's going to happen again. So yeah, I have a life full of stories that whenever I see an opportunity, I take it.
Well, I look forward to having you back on the show at a later time so we can
Me
talk
too,
more
dude.
about these
You're
stories.
fucking
So,
awesome, bro. I'm glad you reached out. This is amazing.
dude, I'm stoked. I hope everybody else is too. And just seriously, thank you so much. And we're gonna hit it with the outro right now, and I'll see you when I see you.
Later, bro.
Later, man. All right, that was sweet.
The beam, we just mutated on a Knocky James. Tiger blood, Charlie Sheen. Leadership level like a college dean. Addicted to the truth like crack is to a fiend. The elites killed the American dream. Along with Epstein, let's rage against the machine. Momentum picking up and I'm hardly burning steam. Positivity never makes it mainstream. The country's torn like some Levi James. Cutting the lawn, but I'm barely making greens. Give it to you straight like a laser beam. This fucking reality is not what it seems.
Dude, that's so fucking cool.
All right, and we